Hi everyone, welcome back to Online Darts, a very special lockdown Zoom. We've got Sky Sports and Talk Sports, Nigel Pearson. Nigel, first of all, thanks for joining us, and how are we in the new year?
Yeah, good, thanks, Phil. Good to see you, and hello to everybody. Delighted to be here. Yeah, I mean, strange times, straight from the World Championships at Alexandra Palace, back home into lockdown, trying to school the kids. Wife's got a full-time role, and she's working from the office upstairs. Got an 11-year-old boy who's pretty self-contained when it comes to homeschooling, but the 9-year-old, don't even know the age of my kids. I've got to give him some attention during the day, and it's quite frightening when 9-year-old schoolwork, schoolwork for 9-year-olds, I don't even know some of the answers. It's quite scary, really.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Recovered from the Worlds and had time to digest what we saw at Alexandra Palace?
I think so. I felt very flat when I came back. I think I did 14 of the days between TV and radio. And yeah, I mean, I just think it's huge credit to everybody because, obviously the PDC, but the players did a fantastic job. No crowd, obviously, in a venue like Ali Pali. You walk through that arena with no crowd in there, and it's so echoey and cold. But the players just did a great job up there to entertain us, and I think they deserve fantastic credit. And I'm so pleased that the protocols that were followed with, the bubble and all the rest of it for the players and the officials. I'm just so glad that it held firm and that we were able to get through the World Championship. I think it's a tremendous achievement.
I was going to say, because I know we were talking in the press room and everything like that, and that would have been the disaster. When they moved London from Tier 3 to Tier 4, it was like, oh my God, could you imagine if the Worlds has to stop? Because that would have been an absolute disaster, wouldn't it?
Well, I think the only time it would have stopped is if football stopped. It's elite sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it didn't. We can't pretend otherwise. It did cross my mind several times. I remember driving back up to the Midlands for Christmas thinking, will I be driving back after Christmas? Of course, you don't say that publicly, but it was a private thought. But yeah. I'm just so pleased we went through it. We got through the whole thing very successfully. I'm told the viewing figures on Sky were excellent. It's great entertainment and just showed us. I think I said on Twitter at one stage, Phil, there was one game where I said that game, you're so engrossed in it that life felt normal for an hour. Yeah. And that's what sport can do for you, particularly darts, when you've got gripping games that go down to a final leg to decide the tie.
I was going to say, what you touched on there, I was going to come on to later, but we'll do it now. That I know there's a lot of people calling for elite sport to stop, but when everyone is in lockdown, people need that sport to watch on TV, don't they? They need something to grip and hold on to.
Yeah, the first lockdown was a nightmare. There was no sport whatsoever. And I remember, I think the first league to come back was Bundesliga in Germany for the football. I'd never been so excited about watching a Bundesliga game. So, I mean, it was remarkable. But yeah, this proves as well that, it's COVID secure. You know as well as I do what it took to get into the Alexandra Palace, Phil, with a health questionnaire and temperature checks and all the rest of it. So it was all done properly, and I'm just so pleased we got through it. But the level of entertainment that the players put on there, on Sky Sports and on the radio, and obviously clips online all around the world, and with your good selves, and it's just wonderful, the entertainment that they provided at a time when people were feeling low. And this has come at a time as well, remember, where people had seen their Christmases virtually destroyed.
Yeah.
Christmas, as we know, is such a huge occasion in a majority of families. And yet, Christmas was cancelled effectively. But the darts was on the telly. And so many people I know absolutely loved it.
Looking back on 2020, a disastrous year for most, but yourself were, when we came back for the match play, obviously the legend that is Dave Clark retired from hosting the darts and steering the darts as we know it, and you came in and were the first one to fill his very big shoes, I can imagine. And first of all, obviously it must have been a great privilege for yourself. And what was that whole process like when you got the call to say, would you do it?
It was exciting, obviously. I had presented on Sky before. I think I'd done a couple of afternoon sessions at Blackpool in the match play. I'd certainly done a few afternoon sessions at Wolverhampton at the Civic for the Grand Slam. Because as Clarkie's condition developed, he he could only do evening sessions. So I had stood in before, like Rod Studd had. So it wasn't totally alien to me, and I had presented other sports on Sky Sports before then. But what I wasn't aware of, Phil, was that Clarkey was about to announce his retirement. So all of a sudden, we've got 9 days of the World Matchplay at Milton Keynes. I was told that Clarkey was likely to be unavailable. Unavailable was what I was told. Would you be prepared to host the whole 9 days? I said, wow, yeah, of course I would. And I just thought there and then, right, 9 days, standing in for Clarkey, yeah, I'll do that. Help out. Be delighted to, no problem at all. And then just a few days before the match play, just as I'm preparing for it, Clarkey announces he's retiring. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, I've got to follow that. You know, there was a week of tributes for Clarkey and the brilliant work that he's done, and he deserved every tribute. Every word that was said about him, to him, was well deserved and still is to this day. But I thought, what have I let myself in for here? So I have no idea if at the time when I was booked, Clarkey had told Sky that he was retiring, or whether it was genuinely that he just didn't feel comfortable about doing it. I'm not sure to this day, but it added pressure, and I kept saying, why did Clarkey have to announce that just a few days before the match play? Because guess which person had to fill in and carry it forward. But I'm glad I did it. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience, and you know, I'm really pleased because I did that. I did a few days of the Premier League. You know, so I've really enjoyed it. But of course, it's very hard when you're commentating and presenting. It's almost impossible, really. And at the match play, I was presenting and I was doing 2 matches a night. So it was like the Nigel Pearson show, which nobody wants. So that was a big challenge. And I'm really pleased how Emma's come in and done a great job. And she's a wonderful person to be with, great colleague. And we have a laugh in the press room and all the rest of it. And she's doing a great job. So, you know, I think it's wonderful what Emma's done. But yeah, to answer your question, I was really pleased and quite proud looking back. Yeah.
Like you said there, when Dave announced that retirement, did the pressure go through the roof then? Like, I know you touched on it then, but what did you suddenly think? What have I let myself in for? Because it was almost like following Sir Alex at Manchester United, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy, actually, Phil. Yeah, I mean, it was like that. And I remember the first day of the match play, I was an absolute bag of nerves, and there was one stage, like an hour before going on air when we were rehearsing, and I got my earpiece here and my microphone, and I was so nervous, I was swerving from side to side in rehearsal. Hi, welcome along to the Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes. It's the World Match Play. And I've got this in my ears from the producer, and stand still, Nige, stand still. You look much better stood still. I'm going, yeah, and here we go. We're going, and that was all nerves. That was all nerves. It was all. I can't explain fully the pressure that I felt under, because it was the first tournament back, and Clarkey had announced his retirement, and there was I in front of camera. Also, it wasn't helped by the fact that on the Friday before the match play started, I got calls from national newspapers. I had a call from a national newspaper reporter. I think it was Phil Lanning. I'm sure it was Lano. He rang me on the Friday. Rob Maul had tweeted, Nigel Pearson is fronting the World Match Play. And all of a sudden, my phone, ping, 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 ping. And I'm thinking, this is just mad. This is just mad. But at least I had my moment in the sun. And whatever happens going forward, I'm glad I can say that I did it, can't I? And I don't think I let anybody down. I think I was a safe pair of hands. Very demanding, doing a 4-hour show presenting and commentating. But I'm quite pleased with what I did. And I know Sky were very grateful. I've had lovely messages from Sky to help them out during a transitional period before they got somebody in. I think I said I was like a caretaker football manager. I'll take training and I'll do it until somebody else comes in, which is what I did.
Obviously, you've been a broadcaster for many years. Was that the most nervous that you've ever been, even going back to your very first gig?
Yeah, it's right up there, Phil. Yeah, without a doubt. Even going back to when I was 19 and I did my first football match on radio in the West Midlands at BRMB in Birmingham when I was 19 years of age. 30 years ago. Wow. 31 football seasons ago, actually. That was a big day. I was bag of nerves then. To the extent that you struggle to eat on the day because you're thinking, I've got no appetite. I'm just absolutely bricking myself. That was a nervous moment. First ever TV match I did when I was Gillette Soccer Saturday. I did a match somewhere, the Speedway on Sky. That was huge. I'd certainly say that the match play night one. That was the most nervous amongst the other occasions I've mentioned that I've ever been in my career. Yeah.
You said about trying to juggle the two. Which one do you prefer, the fronting or telling the story of the action and the drama in commentary? If you had to pick one or the other to do for the rest of your career, which one would you prefer? It's
a no contest, Phil. It's commentary. I love it. I love being in the commentary box. I love commentating on darts. I love commentating on football. The Speedway that I do as well, fast-paced motorsport, which I love. I love everything I do when it comes to commentary. I'm happy to host if people need me to, and I've proved that I can do it. I've hosted shows on TalkSport down the years. I used to do the Saturday afternoon show on TalkSport around the grounds years ago. So I've done radio shows and I've done TV shows, but commentary is talking about the action, getting involved in the passion of the game, talking about the drama. That's where I'm at, really. I prefer commentary without a doubt.
Was part of you a little disappointed you didn't get 1 or 2 days at Alexandra Palace after doing the match play?
I wouldn't say disappointed, Phil. No, I mean, if they wanted me to, then of course I would have stepped in and done it. But let me be pretty clear about this. I was under no illusions. I was there as a caretaker, and we had a bit of a giggle, myself and my producer had a bit of a giggle, and he said, "You probably won't get it permanently, Nigel." I said, "I know, I'm bald, fat, and 50. I've got no chance." No, we had a bit of a laugh about that. And so, look, if they needed me to, then of course I'd have done a couple of afternoons at the Worlds. But with Laura and with Emma, Crofty as well, of course, who always does the Worlds, then no, not disappointed, really. No, I've not even thought about it because really it was never going to happen. So, no, I'm all right with it. I'm fine with it.
Looking ahead to the sport of darts as well, it's a very much in a transitional period right now, isn't it? Because we've got the new breed of dart player, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, but Gerwyn Price breaks the mould where he doesn't look like a traditional darts player, does he? We're bringing darts as a sport into the 21st century, and they are athletes now. They have to be fitter than they've ever been to play up on that stage under that pressure. Where do you see us going in the next 2 or 3 years?
I think Gerwyn Price is fantastic for the game, right? I mean, I've had text messages during the Worlds. My brother, actually, I don't mind outing him. My brother said, "Can you get me a signed picture of Gerwyn Price because Sinead hates him?" So his wife, Sinead, decided just by watching a Gezi Price game that she doesn't like him, and he wanted me to get a signed picture to Sinead. Love Gerwyn Price, but I think he's great for the game because he's lean, he's in good shape. Fantastic player, by the way, to be world champion, of course. But he's image-wise, I think he's absolutely superb. We've got these other players coming through that are exciting. I mean, I'm pleased Joe Cullen made an impression. I'm pleased Joe's had a decent run of form in the build-up to the Worlds as well, because I think he's good for the game. I've got to mention our old pal Devon, because a colleague of mine at Sky, what he's done is fantastic to transform his form is wonderful. So we do have this batch of play. And when you look at the majors as well, like your De Souza and your Dimitri Van den Berg winning the match play, new major winners, Phil.
Yeah.
I think that's exciting very exciting for the game. And, I love the Phil Taylor era, don't get me wrong. But how many finals did we see that were probably predictable because Phil was so fantastic? Now, you can argue that the game is so wide open and more unpredictable than ever before, and I think that's a great thing for the game.
100%, I agree with you. One sec, last one. I want to get your thoughts on the only naming 9 and leaving a carrot dangled for the Premier League for probably 5 or 6 players are probably in the mix, I'd say, for it. A fan, or would you have preferred the 10 to be names so everyone knows where they are and not adding that extra pressure onto a TV title at the Masters?
No, I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think, it puts pressure on players knowing that if they have a good Masters at the end of this month, then they're in the frame for a Premier League place. I absolutely love it. I'm all for that. I love the idea of the contenders. When we saw, I had a shiver down the spine when I saw John Henderson walk on behind bagpipes at Aberdeen, and I was in Dublin last year, and to see Willie O'Connor walk, I still go on YouTube now and play that back.
Yeah,
my headphones
I'll do the same.
At night, if the wife's watching some crap television, I'll have the iPad on, listening to music, and sometimes I'll just go on YouTube and Google William O'Connor walk on Dublin, and I'll just watch that, and it sends a shiver down. I mean, I feel like I'm back in the 3 Arena. So those contenders were brilliant. But to answer your question, yeah, okay, fine. 10 players, great. We've got 9. Let's add this uncertainty, because we don't know when we're going to start the Premier League exactly at this moment in time. So there's no harm done in just leaving it for another tournament. And the Masters has just got another dimension to it. And I'll be watching. And, I'm looking forward to seeing it over that weekend. And I'm sure the lads at ITV, the lads and lasses at ITV will do a terrific job, as they always do.
Right now, who do you think's in pole position for that 10th spot?
Oh. Yeah, it's a tough one.
You're going to take the 5th?
Yeah. It's a tough one, Phil. I think there's so many of them. That's the problem. If Chizzy has a good Masters, if he keeps hitting 180s and then sorts his finishing out and does a Van Gerwen 5-0 like he did in the Worlds, right now I think it's a tough one. That's why I don't think anybody's in pole position, because that's why they haven't named it yet, Phil. I'll go Chizzy, sorry.
Nigel, thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us online darts, mate. It's a pleasure. We were going to try and do this at the Worlds, but we just couldn't marry up diaries, could we, because of everything that was going on. So we've done it over Zoom instead, mate. Thank you very much for joining us as always, buddy.
Yeah, pleasure, and to you and everybody else that I know you guys all get on great in the press room. All the other online darts services and all the rest of it. You're doing a great job to spread the word of this wonderful sport. So keep it going. Well done, Phil. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.